Welcome back to the OPL, where we just saw the Chiefs 2-0 Tainted Minds. However, we got a second best of 3 coming your way. It is going to be Avantgarde taking on Sin Gaming. So let's get the team lineups onto your screen. Avantgarde first, Paradise in the top lane, Shelby their jungler, Triple in the mid lane, Chenny Boy their AD carry, and Jake their support. And as we said, they're going to be going up against Sin Gaming, but it is going to be without Juves. It's going to be Squiggle in the top lane, Dan in the jungle, Rymeister their mid laner, Raps and Rogue are going to be their AD carry and support. And that's actually where I want to kick it off. You know, Sin Gaming, they are going to be playing without Juves, their jungler. We've already heard how important he is for the emotional qualities of the team. It's just 1 week because he has got his Wisdom Teeth removed. But what does this do for the team?
When you lose your primary, I'm hesitant to say shot caller.
Stabilizer?
Yeah, we'll go with stabilizer. That does incredible things for your team. Losing him is going to be really, really tough for them to sort of play on without, especially with a new bot lane. Right, they're still adjusting to that. That's going to be really difficult for them to sort of play through.
And that's the thing, when I kind of look at how these rosters are matched up, I look at Raps and I look at Rogue. I don't have a good enough sample size to really make a definitive decision on Raps, but I do like Rogue as a strong support versus Chenny Boy and Jake. I'm actually going to give Sin's bottom lane the advantage here, but if you look at the rest of the map, by losing Juves, you've got now a new top laner, a new jungler, and then Rye. And across that, you've got Triple, Shelby, and then Paradise. Yes, a new top laner, but a very solid duo in your mid and your jungle. So I actually have to give the advantage to AV when you look collectively at a 5v5, just because the bot lane doesn't mean as much on 6.10.
And I know you think maybe some people are sleeping on Avantgarde right now, T-Gun, because you think that maybe they're a little bit better than people are giving them credit for, especially through that top half of their map.
Maybe not Avantgarde as a whole, but definitely Triple T's. He's one of the strongest mid laners I've seen in quite a while. He has the potential, I hate using the word potential, to be the best mid laner by, let's say, the end of the split. And a lot of people come in and go, oh, it's AV, new roster, they're not that good, they're going to be bottom tier. With how much synergy there is between Triple and Shelby and how aggressive they can play and how much they can snowball through on a patch that helps mid lane, that's a scary thought. And that's not something I want to come up against.
Yeah, again, I just have to emphasize and piggyback off the back of that is just this idea that I think that the mid and jungle position right now on AV are stronger without Juves in the lineup. Hopefully Dan can show up as a viable replacement for Sin and help them through this, but right now I just have to give credit to AV.
And, you know, we haven't seen a lot of the top laners in OPL because RSI now Paradise going up against Squiggle, someone that's been around for a long time but not necessarily in the OPL. How do these players match up against each other? I mean, you would have played against them a lot. Yeah,
I think it'll be a wash. I think if they're on tanky stuff, it's just going to be the traditional tank top lane. They're going to slap each other a bunch but do nothing in the lane. You might see RSI, I think, what was his name? Paradise now? Yeah. He might pull out Riven, maybe. Probably not. And that would be interesting. That would be a thing where maybe he can carry. But again, I don't think they'll go to the top lane, either team. I think it's all going to be in the mid lane. Their bot lane, they might go aggressive. Raps has been sort of heralded as King Light, where he'll be extremely aggressive and try and win the game and put the team on his back. But I just don't see it. As much as I want to see them play aggressive, I still think they're always just going to go back to mid lane.
Well, it's like you said, that aggression in the bot lane effectively just turns into an advantage for either top laner because whoever gets the better TP and the better position in that often ends up with the counter kills. So I feel like even though you're an aggressive AD carry, I mean, we saw it literally last game, the perfect example. Lost goes off, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean enough because they don't have enough power.
Yep.
All right, cool. And I want to take a look at Sin's jungler, Dan. We already mentioned that he's going to be playing instead of Juves. Juves is a big, I guess, supportive mid laner, not really known to go off on carry himself, but he is a lot of the heart and soul of Sin. Is Dan a similar player? Is he more carry? Like, what can we expect out of this young jungler?
It's hard to say. I haven't played versus him personally, so I don't really know how he plays. But you assume that for a guy stepping in, especially for just 1 week, he's going to try and emulate Juves, right? He'll try and play exactly how he does, maybe even vocalize how Juves does. And then for AV, you just sort of expect the same thing, but slightly worse.
Well, we'll see whether that is the case. Want to get your thoughts on who is going to win this matchup. Avantgarde versus a Sin Gaming roster with a substitute jungler in Frostgreen. And coming to you first, what are your thoughts?
Unfortunately, Sin, I'm going to have to go for AV. I just think that losing a key player like Juves, I mean, we've pretty much said it on the desk. He's the primary facilitator. He's constantly ganking, setting up Rymeister. Rymeister may be your carry, but it starts with your jungler. And I can't put my money on a substitution that I know nothing about.
Yeah. And I'm going to have to echo Frostgreen. Without Juves, you lose your main way to beat AV. And what are AV going to do? They're going to sit in mid lane. And if your carry on Sin is mid lane and your opponent's plan is to win through mid lane, it's going to be even more difficult for you to sort of deal with that. And got to give it to AV in a 2-0.
Well, we will see whether Dandan is able to rise to the occasion because Avantgarde is ready to take to the Rift against Sin Gaming. Here is Rusty and Rogu to take us there.
Thank you, Spawn. We are indeed here to take it away. And of course, you've got to look at getting a replacement in can be a bit of a detriment to a team. And we saw T-Gun say just how highly he values triple on this side of AB. Now, AV rather, do Sin actually have a way of taking out this game?
For what it's worth, in our conversations we had with Bensel yesterday on the analyst desk, he thinks that Dandan is actually very similar to Juves in the way of play style. So if he can continue to emulate that style, which seems to be natural towards him, then yes, absolutely. I think there's going to be a lot of positives to the sub that Sin have got in place. But that dynamic duo on Avantgarde, like Chelby and Triple together, are unreal. And I think it's going to be a challenge, to say the least, for Sin. Rymeister being their shot caller, Dandan having to assist him in that respect. It's going to be rough.
You mentioned we've seen time and time again just how valuable synergy between the mid lane and the jungler really is. So hopefully these guys have been putting in the hours on the side of Sin Gaming, can really show us that they've been working on it.
Yeah, to me the biggest question marks on the Sin roster is going to be that new jungle sub in the place of Juves and the top lane Squiggle, who had a lackluster first week. We're yet to see what the man's made of, and we know he has more than what he showed us. But Paradise is an individual laner, individual mechanical player, and understanding the way that Avantgarde work. If they can put their team together and utilize themselves as more than just strong individual players, I think AV are actually definitely in the driver's seat.
Well, the first 3 bans of the game have of course, gone down. Alistair Trundle following up with that Azir. And I'm surprised not as many teams ban Azir. I feel like I've been seeing him a lot recently, and he brings just so much to the table that a lot of champions just really can't answer.
I feel like there's just too many bans that need to be targeted at certain people. So get rid of the Trundle. Perhaps the Echo is another standout ban as well. Ryze has always stood out as a ban option. What does that leave you with? Leaves you with like 2 ban slots available. Do you get rid of their best champions, or do you just get rid of Azir, which everyone can play, but it's definitely still strong? And if you can respond with something like a Victor on the flip side, then maybe that's just the price that you have to pay when it comes to drafting. The Azir ban in particular, though, from Triple, I really do like it.
And the champion selected dynamic always differs from team to team here, so Sin obviously preferring to just get rid of that wide range Azir. Allow Triple to maybe play something he might be a little bit more comfortable on, but following that up, the Ryze and the Kindred will be taken away here, so not going to be seeing either of those. And the Karma does strike me as a little bit odd. It does get banned away for the third and final ban coming out of Sin.
It's a little bit odd, but I'm actually still okay with that.
Okay.
I don't think there's a particular reason to ban the Karma, but if Jakey plays it, Karma's quite strong. I think it enables your team quite nicely, and you don't need that Sivir anymore in the way of an AD carry position. With first pick available here to AV, I was going to mention Chenny Boy's champion pool a little bit questionable, so that makes sense.
Going to be picking up that Lucian champion we saw banned away in the last series. Finally going to be flushed out here, and we're going to get reminded just how dominant a Lucian is in lane.
Yeah, Lucian, very strong champion. The question's always arisen of which build will he go. It's dependent on what Sin actually look towards, and what that 2v2 matchup might even be could affect that. Sin with their first chance to actually pick here, knowing that the Lucian was taken, they could actually do the safe option of an Ezreal, perhaps just not reveal their hand and still be that AD carry that, you know, is defaulted towards in the immediate response to that, and pick themselves the Echo, perhaps for Squiggle. Wouldn't be too bad.
So last week we saw Minky Whale, when you're on support, you just pick Janna. Do you think there's a jungler for that role as well?
Well, Nidalee.
It looks like
Kindred as well.
Doing just that, locking in the Nidalee as well as the Ezreal. No surprise considering he's the second most played AD carry at the moment, but there's the Nidalee for you as well. But a quick lock-in from the side of AV, Shelby and Triple picking up the Victor and the Echo to boot.
Yeah, the first thing we have to note is the reaction from AV. So Sin locking in the Nidalee for Dandan, meaning they want to have a lot of pressure in that jungle role. Fast clear kind of champion with the Kindred ban. Nidalee arguably the better Kindred. AV's response is, well, you didn't prioritize the Echo, you went for the jungle, let's just take that strong champion instead.
Yeah, and Sin Gaming, another set of quick lock-ins here. Fizz and Thresh going to be locked in right away. So we saw Fizz in game number 2 of the first series kind of fall flat on his face. Let's see if the likes of either Squiggle or Rymeister can make it shine.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that Fizz, very strong champion, even in Rymeister's hands in terms of assassin play. I think that Fizz has actually come to the forefront of mid lane assassins. No more Zeds really to be seen. Could be a delicate matchup, however, being into the Victor. I think with AV here, their last response. Deep down, I just want that Shelby Lee Sin, but I think Lee makes a lot of sense with their team composition.
Sure. We'll see what they go with here. Looking like they want to get that Braum a strong pick regardless of who he lanes with. Even better with the Lucian, as a matter of fact, being able to proc so well with Lucian passive. Yeah. Rek'Sai, though. All right.
Yeah, that works. Again, early pressure, so they've got the gank pathing. They've got a lot of extra utility in the dragon control. Shelby, also an aggressive player, will suit the Rek'Sai as an option. And the draft that AV have now put together does an exceptional amount of damage, has a couple of tanks to boot, and it's mixed damage at that. Pretty well rounded.
We'll see what my favorite OPL player, Rogue, locks in here. Going to be either the mid laner or the top laner, depending on where they send this Fizz.
Based off Squiggle's summoner spells. We're going to see that top.
Oh. You said Zed not in sight at all, but here he is, back on the Rift in the hands of Rymeister. And I was actually going to bring it up why we haven't been seeing as much Zed considering the changes to QSS.
Because generally speaking, he just can't split push.
Okay.
And, like, they've got a really good item build, right? The Black Cleaver, Ghostblade, standard Zed build, does a lot of damage, still a great champion and lanes well. But it always just felt like whenever he wanted to go top lane, didn't work out too well for them. Sin always have that preference, however, and they're one of the few teams besides perhaps Avant-Garde where I'd say go for that Zed. Just go ham with it, make it work. I don't think they have too much of an option here, though, Sin, besides split pushing now.
Yeah.
Those win conditions are a little bit lacking.
Well, that's the thing. You mentioned Zed might lack that at the moment, so that could come back to bite them in the end, especially when you got to remain focused on what your win conditions are on the side of AV Triple. He's got himself that Victor, so it's always going to be a task to ever push out a Victor, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So breaking the mid lane turret is definitely the first question that we have to raise. Lane swapping as well, something that maybe AV don't really care about at all. They've still got a strong team fighting composition, dragon control. I think AV are just well-rounded. Looking at Sin's draft, though, is a bit wishy-washy.
Yeah.
In what they want.
And remember, guys, to get on Twitter and show your love for these teams, hashtag AVWin if you want to see Avant win, or hashtag SIN win if you think a sub is not going to be enough to take these guys down.
Yeah, Dan very similar to Juice. Keep that in mind as we move into this series. But for Sin Gaming taking on Avant, both of these teams have a lot to prove after their first week, and you would imagine guns blazing as we make it onto the Rift at the start of this first game.
Well, they've got the team compositions to do so, as we see Avant looking really strong. They've got themselves the Lucian. A lot of people prioritize that as #1 on the AD carry pick list. We saw AV locking that one in first in the entire rotation, so they definitely value that also.
I think they value Chenny Boy's champion pool, something that if Sin were to lose this game, perhaps they could look towards exploiting, because he defaults to Vayne. He could give Raps plenty of opportunities if he has the Caitlyn or Tristana perhaps even in that back pocket. There's definitely still a lot of merit to Sin's comp whilst we question their win conditions. You have to keep in mind, Rymeister's split pushing. Triple doesn't have teleport. If Chenny's the one to answer, he would die, so they have to send Paradise there. And then Squiggle, as Fizz, is always going to have assassination on any of the carries that he finds. And so in a situation like this, if Sin can actually bridge their way towards any kind of 1-3-1 split push or team fight like that, maybe get teleport advantages, I think Sin will be very happy. It's more about how on earth do they hold the 3v3?
It's really going to be a sight to behold once we get to that stage in the game, of course. These team comps, not something I'm used to really seeing. Fizz in the top, Zed in the mid. Raps does the smart thing of checking with his Q, still gets tagged. The
He's actually about to get stunned.
Not going to hit Chenny Boy. Might have to burn the flash here as Raps does get stunned away. The exhaust goes down. Does flash in the end, but now Rogue's in a bit of trouble here. Does get the double flay here. But 2 more auto attacks from the passive should do it. But everyone comes back to lane. No camps taken. This is going to be a very traditional lane.
We can call that as traditional as we like, but all things considered, Chenny is putting a lot of hurt down onto Raps. He's not having too great of a time. Remember, the potion advantage, not a big deal, but it stands out as a very redeeming factor for this level 1 start for AV's bottom lane.
Jakey doing a great job to enable that, hitting the Qs off cooldown, and Squiggle already feeling the pain of that echo.
Yeah, Echo surprisingly good level 1 strength. Level 2's is kill threat, so...
He's got no flash. He might just die here with a few more auto attacks. One more should do it, and Squiggle does not respect the mechanical prowess out of Paradise and pays for it with his life.
That was so unnecessary from Squiggle, and once again, we question what this guy is capable of. Well, Squiggle's letting him show us that he's not too capable at this stage in the first game.
Poor guy.
Really is frustrating to see happen to anybody. Level 2 Echo is always going to be strong, and a Fizz without Flash. Need to show some kind of respect to the minions.
Yeah, he just did not respect
He just
anything.
got level 2'd on. That is a normal level 1 strategy that every single player in League of Legends, probably Diamond 5 or above, will execute on.
Rhymaster really feeling this one out, but Dan unfortunately did miss the spear. Not burning any summoners on the side of Triple. Cool, calm, and collected walks his way out of that one.
Yeah, so rule of thumb as well with most Nidalee jungles, if they look to gank mid, it's actually usually due to the fact that their mid laner can either set them up with a stun or some kind of crowd control or push them towards you. Zed has a lot of damage, but that damage is not able to push you towards a Nidalee. And so yes, Triple gets a little bit lucky with the minion wave timing, but doesn't even burn a summoner spell.
Dan making the best of a bad situation, goes in, takes away that blue buff. So Shelby might be feeling the pain of that one, but once again, Squiggle just getting hocked and frocked. Mistimes the E as well.
Dan
Doesn't
has to
avoid
come
the damage
top.
here.
This is a problem, because this lane's pretty much already lost.
The stun not going to land, but Paradise, he might not care. Danny's made his way up.
Paradise will fight Dan.
He's strong. Dan's strong as well. He does have double buffs here. Making the damage count. Trying to do what he can.
Double
the spear misses. Paradise, he goes in. He's got himself double buffs now. He's looking for the double. The 2v1 god. Paradise himself takes it away.
Don't fight in a minion wave firstly. Unfortunately, Sin just making mechanical errors, and mechanical players on the side of Avantgarde make up for it. Sin, look at where Dandane's standing, how many minions he's actually tanking, and that there was no marked proc. It's like unbelievably unfortunate, I suppose, at a mechanical level, but Paradise just outplays them.
Yep.
And this is not going to stop anytime soon. He is so far ahead of Squiggle. It's almost just lights out for the top lane and top half of the map entirely.
Already 4 stacks on his Dark Seal now, so he's really feeling good about how this lane is progressing. In the bot side, Chenny Boy and Jakey doing well on their own already. 15 CS in the lead over the likes of Raps and Rogue. Dan making a return game here. Does hit the span. Spear forces the flash out of Triple. Might need a few more auto attacks to do it. The spear goes wide. Rhymaster flashes in and secures that one for himself. But here is a double buff. Paradise looking to make something happen in the bot lane. Chenny Boy does go down. But look at this. He's got no cares. He's level 6. Just auto attacks his way to another double kill.
This is disgusting.
Oh.
Paradise is so strong. Meanwhile, bottom lane, they're having a go.
Yeah, they got 2 kills for themselves. 1 for Rogue, 1 for Raps. But I don't know how I'm feeling this 5-0-0 Echo.
Yeah, no, look, Chenny Boy, so he was completely out of position, right? There was no Jakey nearby. And they do get him. Rap very close to dying, you have to remember, by the end of this trade, still tanking those minions. They get themselves the 2 kills, so it's nice work. But remember, look what was happening on the other side of the map.
Yeah, this is very reminiscent of how Game 1 went earlier on. The bot lane gets ahead, but the top just really getting out of control. I don't know how Sin can answer right now.
So the only thing that they can do is just damage control. Yeah, so he's massive. Like he's okay. This is never going to stop. He's always going to be large from this point on. What they do is they disregard him. They say, Squiggle, off with you. Like, enjoy your death chamber. We'll try and win elsewhere.
Shelby and Dan just a little kerfuffle in the jungle. But Shelby's content with taking away the Raptor camps, leaving only a small one for Dandin to pick the scraps.
Dandin level behind as well as 10 CS, so top lane spilling into the jungle role. Bottom lane, Chenny still has a CS advantage regardless of those kills. Sin really not starting on the right foot here in game number 1. No Drake's looked at, honestly. I think that they'll start progressing that one once Paradise has teleport, which is not too far away.
Looks like it is the Infernal Drake, judging by the minimap icon.
And I love the pickup of a Boots of Swiftness as well by Echo. He had those double buffs, so he didn't really need to go for like the early Sheen and continue that lane pressure. He already had the dominance asserted just through those buffs. And go for the boots, go for the utility. That's the reason he got to mid when he did, and was actually able to get those 2 kills.
And we see Raps going, speaking of builds, Raps going for the ultimate slow build. Picked himself up the Carl as well as the tier, so don't expect anything out of him for a while, and even Rogue knows it as he makes a little bit of a trip to the mid lane. Try and catch Triple off guard, but now we're seeing the spillover effect well and truly in effect as Paradise helps Shelby secure the red buff.
Yeah, Dandane being exploited now by Shelby. And the funny thing about this is actually the way Shelby's doing it. He's playing Rek'Sai. He's naturally going to go towards that tank Rek'Sai. But he's gone for Sightstone as his first item. He didn't even have that jungle upgrade finished. He just left it at the Hunter's Machete. And the reason he can actually afford to do that is because of the top lane. He's placing the Sightstone Vision near the red buff, near the enemy jungle. He's now invading, now pressuring Dandane out. And it makes it more predictable where the Nidalee's going to be at all times. And as you can see, Shelby just playing the monitor for it. And whenever he decides to pull the trigger, so now's the time that we go for Dragon. They can just work around the vision he's already set up. Because this early in the game, no one's going to have that Sightstone.
Yeah, there's not a lot the bot lane can do, despite getting a little bit ahead early. I mentioned just how weak those items are when it comes to combat stats on Ezreal. So the first Dragon of the game will be started by Avant. No one from Sin want to answer this call.
And this is an Infernal Drake, so they're going to get 8% scaling damage, and ability power, and attack damage. Pretty scary start here if you're a Sin fan. They are a resilient team, but there's limits to what anyone can do. Nice hook.
The hook does go down on the Kenny Boy. They might be in a little bit of trouble here. Rogue flashes out of that one, but a massive tunnel coming through for Shelby. Flashes, gets the knocks up, forces Raps to escape with his life, but a nice hook ends in disaster for poor Rogue.
And it's safe to say that that was always going to happen. They just took the Drake.
He's in a lot of trouble now. I don't think he's getting away out of this one. Paradise, he's so confident. Does have the ultimate available.
He's
so
actually, he's going for it.
Yeah, one more attack should do it. The Q does miss. Not even going to need the ulti. There it is, but the death mark comes down. Rymeister trying to make something happen here. Does get his Hex Drinker popped. Doesn't get a kill. But gets out with his life.
And now a 6-0 Echo walks away as well. So,
oh my lord.
I mean, Squiggle, there's no way that he can fight him. There's the middle lane, unfortunately, is where that spillover is occurring. Dandane already in a bad situation. And once again, that fight happening in the bottom lane. Rogue's a great thresh. Like, that hook connecting was great. Double flay was there. But we just watched Avant take the dragon. We heard the cry of the dragon as it died. That's global, by the way. Everyone hears that. And still they actually opt into the fight on the assumption that they were alone. You're never alone after the dragon had just been taken. Especially
not when they're just walking so aggressively into lane. But 10 minutes in the game and already Avant about a 2,500 gold in the lead. So they're really putting the pressure on, playing with this advantage so well. Paradise, he's got himself that Magi Soul Stealer. So he's on the route to 20 plus stacks here.
Stacks on stacks on stacks.
He's going to be feeling
He's
really
level 9,
good.
and his Q is last hitting the backline with it.
Oh my god.
Push out and back it.
They're going to have to try and make something happen here, but Triple, when you're playing Victor, you don't need to be anywhere besides the back of the mid lane, right?
He just needs a wave clear. Successfully diffusing the middle lane is still a victory for any Victor. Just not intentional, but absolutely makes a lot of sense. Nice.
We see
Let's just make it worse, shall we, by laughing at it.
We see 3 members of Sin making their way up to this top lane to kind of match the bot lane of Avant, who are going for that tower, as they really can't do anything about Paradise but sit and watch in awe and hope that their next OPL game goes that well.
Yeah. Look, I'm waiting for the moment that he explodes also. Remember, teleport's available. They could look to dive this lane if they really wanted to. Rek'Sai will have his teleport as well, as there it is.
He doesn't need teleport. He just makes his way to the mid once again. Rymeister does flash. Keeps himself alive. Dan was there in case the dive commenced, but realistically, it doesn't matter if Echo dives. He's got the ult to get him out.
Rinse and repeat, probably about to occur. As they've now got themselves the tank jungler to boot. So 2 members of Avant are going to have a very hard time actually dying, even if they try to. Whereas the carries are also getting towards their items. Big CS advantage for Jenny Boy. There's one way to describe this game, and Ejim is one of the favorites to always say it. What a disaster. What an absolute disaster.
Yeah, that is the perfect word right
Jenny's,
now. I'm sure Sin are typing remake
Like,
right
look at
about
them. They're
now.
just like, get out of the way. Like, the turret is ours. Just like, leave it. All your base.
Well, belong to us as we see Avant once again just complete and utter map control. I really love just how well this team has been utilizing this advantage. You see it sometimes, people, they get ahead and they kind of just sit around, continuously
Jake is
kill
here.
the Fizz. Meister in a bit of trouble. Jakey has made his way over. We see the parallel convergence come down by Paradise. He wants to make Meister pay with his life. The ultimate still there. Now he's just going to
Nice
boot
hook.
out of there. The hook comes through. The box does land. Shelby trying to keep him alive. Paradise is running.
Oh.
The gravity field is there. The Q hits him on the back of that one. Now Shelby might be in a little bit of trouble. The flay goes wide. There is Squiggle looking to make a play. A double kill for Raps. And Sin answer back.
He's going over the wall. He wants a third as well, Raps. Very impressive stuff here from Sin. Got this all back on the board. But it was mostly through the avant-garde over-aggression and trying to dive a Z, which is not an easy feat. And everyone was in the right place at the right time, so they are bouncing back. Funnily enough, still 8-5 in kills. Paradise, I think his best bet was to actually hold on to that ultimate a little bit longer and maybe try and get his way out. And he was close to getting out. Remember, Rat flashes for it. Triple as well, not having his ultimate, he'd already used it on the Z. Puts himself into a predicament that was very close for Raps getting 4 kills in the end. Still, you know what? Yeah, he's a 3-0-1 Ezreal. He's probably having a great time on the Rift. Yeah. Still 30 CS behind, still against the 7-1 Echo that's just built his sheen and armor.
He was doing that just off the back of a 10 stacks Soul Stealer, which is now back in the dumpster on 4, so not as impressive, but Paradise looking to get those stacks back up as he's got Squiggle in his sights.
Everybody's in Paradise's sights.
He's really doing well this game.
Oh my god. 7-1 Echo. No one else has got kills. Like,
No.
There's one on Shelby.
That's about it.
That's kind of an unfortunate thing, realistically, is the fact that he has all of the money. And what he's doing well is rotating around the mapping, making it so that his presence is known, trying to get everybody else a little bit further ahead. You can see like 40 CS's, 80 carries. Thankfully for Raps, he's been made up through kills. But eventually, it will actually get kills to these other lanes. When it does, the map will just blow open.
Oh, Squiggle, he just cannot contest even 2 caster minions at this stage. Cost him his life just to do it, as we see the Mountain Drake has been started. 4 members of Avant have made their way down. No one from Sin even in position to contest it.
No, they don't want to contest this. There's no way for them to go near it. Echo has teleport. No thank you. He's having a hard enough time trying to survive top lane, Squiggle. Remember, no flash available as well. Meister.
Got him in their
I
sights
see
here.
you.
Jakey is over at that blue buff. But they are just going to go for the pink wards this time around.
What it also does mean is that Meister was looking towards split pushing, which is a pretty early time in the game for him to be considering it. He's almost level 11 though, so once he gets that, can definitely pop people. Except Echo, he can still pop people.
Oh, Dan, he's just going to walk into a world of trouble. The stun does land. The Lantern there to keep him safe. But Paradise just exerting dominance left, right, and center.
Yeah, and even Dandane taking a lot of damage from all of these members. They just brute force their way through this entire map, and it is only 4,000. Doesn't feel too crazy. You look at the kill score and you're like, till 5, that's all right.
Yep.
But they're still just so strong.
0 towers, 0 dragons for the side of Sin. 3 and 2 respective over on the side of AV. So it's really an uphill battle. Sin, they haven't found an opportunity to get any of those neutral objectives or structures.
And they put Zed against the Echo. Which, look, it's not actually that bad. Just remember that there's no teleport available to deal with it. I think that Zed's probably got more survivability than that of the Fizz at the moment. He has a flash if it comes down to it.
Sure.
And he can farm with his Q at a ranged distance.
I can see how it works. I can see how they'd come to that
So
conclusion.
yeah, arguably better in terms of matchup. The ideal situation here, though, is that Squiggle can 1v1 whoever they send. Which I would actually, at a surface level, imagine they start sending Chelby if it comes down to it. Simply because he has his ultimate.
They got vision on this Herald, but will they act on it? That is a question. 5 members from Avant are in position. It is going to get taken away, giving that to Paradise, getting him even stronger by the second. Does now have that 20-minute buff, especially when he's in that 1v1.
Thankfully, those Mejis are not actually stacked, given the death that he experienced. He also just wasted his teleport to go bottom. with no health to his name. Best case scenario now, the Sin actually was that, because they might be able to force his ultimate even.
We'll see, but Squiggle, he's seeing what can happen when he gets a little bit too comfortable being around Paradise, so not going to happen just yet in the mid-triple. Just doing what Victor does, death raying a wave time and time again to make sure that they can't even get a lick of damage on that mid-tower.
Still surprisingly close in gold, considering how this game has started. They're kind of just covering up their wounds and trying to poke people out now. Utilize Raps in that middle lane. Once he gets Iceborne Gauntlet, they'll be safer. Chenny.
Teleport does come down, but that is with Squiggle. Chenny Boy gets taken down to about 20% health. He's going to be in a little bit of trouble. Dan, they found Jakey. They should be able to finish him off. The ulti comes through, does sidestep it. It does get taken out. No! Oh, Dan! No! Oh, the W from Ezreal finishes it off, but that was looking a little bit shaky there out of Sin Gaming.
Did a surprisingly large amount of damage. Red potions. Never trust them, Sin. They fall for that trick. Dane's auto attacks don't exactly do much, given that he's in Italy with AP. Giving AV enough time to respond and so much use to secure that kill as well. Not ideal. But they do still get themselves the kill.
They get back in time to defend the turret ultimately falling. A good chunk of damage going out, but the likes of Sin might want to go for it. Whoa. There is the hook, but it is onto Paradise. The shark comes down. Shelby is in the back. Where is Chenny Boy going to focus? It is going to be onto Squiggle, but he's still quite tanky.
Yeah, still showing signs of aggression. Remember, Jakey's the only one dead, so the damage is there from Triple. Damage is always there from the Echo. And Lucian's still standing with his Ghost Blade and his Phage, so there's plenty of damage. I mean, it's really interesting endeavors to be experienced. Sin not backing down. I like it. They've got zest.
They really do. They've not been making mistakes, it seems, besides from the obvious ones that Squiggle has made. So we see the two top laners once again fighting. Might be in a little bit of trouble there. He does have backup, but 4 members of Avant making their way down. They want to contest this turret if Triple makes it a 5th.
Raps will probably not even... I would imagine he's going to ult for this, but it's so gone.
Yeah, it's dead. So they had no chance. Zed was in the top lane. There were too many minions up there for him to, as a carry, not want to take. So he's up there getting his minions. Meanwhile, the likes of AV are grouping as a death squad, taking down turrets where they see fit. What can Sin do here? We've seen them kind of sit back and wait, but that just allows Paradise to die.
So we actually said this during the drafting phase as well. AV have kind of built themselves a rolling death ball once they get actually rolling, and they obviously are.
Well and truly.
Sin, on the flip side, are more of the delicate 1-3-1 strategy where they can't afford to be too far behind, or they just default to split pushing because it's probably their best strategy. I think in terms of how a team fight would go as well, Sin might want to be very cautious with that one. And so in terms of what they do on the map at the moment, they watch it unfold and then they react. And they just try and react better than what AV are doing. Because if the engage is good from AV, doesn't matter. They'll just win the fight anyway.
Raps, they're saving grace at the moment. Currently 4-0. Feeling good on this Ezreal. We've seen just how well an Ezreal in the right hands can do, especially when he gets ahead. But Avant really giving them no breathing room at the moment. Just every single time Sin think they may have a little bit of a respite to kind of catch their breath, there is Avant contesting a tower, forcing a dragon. And as I say that, the third dragon of the game will be spawning.
Raps just needs to straight up activate God mode. I think that's the only way that Sinner looking at a convincing team fight from here. I will say, once again, we've been mentioning the gold difference. It's 4,000. They've maintained that. So it's not a losing middle stage of this game given how it started, but the dragon control, the objective control starting to ooze into unreasonable territory.
Teleport from Paradise is out. There is the culling, but Paradise does dodge the fish. Hits Chenny Boy, but that was pure defensive. They're trying to focus out Paradise. Here comes Jake Squiggle. Going to be the sacrificial lamb out of this one, but there is Rogue also being taken down in a second. A double kill for Chenny Boy.
Yeah, plenty of stacks for Paradise. 2 kills for Chenny, so now there's gold in more than one pocket on the side of AV. And this could be the moment where AV actually start to continue and overload that pressure. We'll start with the towers.
Ult's coming across, not doing too much in terms of wave clear. The side of AV should be picking that one up, no trouble. Rek'Sai able to just ult back to the mid lane to ensure that Sin stay on 0 towers.
Yeah, and the gold grows to 6,000
Wow.
between these two. Well, very close to anyway. Someone go farm. There we go. Close enough.
Does use his shadow offensively.
Whoa. Whoa.
Know about that one?
Calm down.
No one on AV punishes him for it though. So he is able to get out of that one scot-free. Just pop the Ghost Blade. Questionable.
Yeah, it's whatever.
Sure.
I think the big problem is now GA for Echo. I mean, I don't really need to explain it anymore, but he's kind of a big deal. So good luck killing him. The end result.
No one's killing him here, Rusty.
Yeah, so what that means is he can split push endlessly if he really wants to. No one can kill him. His team fights are going to be unreal, but he doesn't have teleport or flash, so if he wants to split push, he's making a commitment. And that's actually an opening where Sin could maybe recognize that fact. They know he doesn't have teleport. Surely it'd have been called. They can try and team fight without it.
We'll see if they recognize that and in turn respond with a play of their own, because right now this entire game has been them reacting to what Avant have been doing. Triple, unfortunately, gets outplayed by the blue buff here.
He actually outplayed himself as well.
Decides he is going to go answer with those top wave minions and come back from the blue after that. But Rhymaster, he's feeling good now. Echo isn't in his lane. Dan does get caught out a little bit here as Paradise and Trenny Boy looking to make a play.
Yeah, remember as well, whilst we were looking at that blue buff being taken, that if it's resetting and you stun it, it doesn't change anything. It still resets, so you have to wait for it to walk back angrily. So don't stun it. There's a nice hook.
Trenny Boy. There's a good hook. Nothing going to come from it, though. No cheeky flay to try and get him over that terrain. I've seen some of the thin terrains allow for that. Another hook, but not going to land. Avant, they want this tower. They want this mid-inner, and they should get it as Sin. They've got Rhymaster in the top lane. No one there to help defend. Jakey does get hooked, but here is Paradise and Shelby in the backside of the tower. Going to be the main focal point. Looking to make something happen here. Paradise and Jake on the run. Zed still just pushing top, though.
Yeah, so they're going to actually trade turrets for it. They're going to get the first outer in the top lane, and Rhymaster's probably not going to stop split pushing anytime soon. He does have Ignite, however, so he's never going to be actually capable of teleporting in. And Paradise can give this one a go.
Yeah, let's see how this cookie crumbles indeed. Chenny Boy comes over the wall. Rhymaster forced to flash. Does go for the death mark. Not going to get any damage off despite the Guardian Angel still in full effect for Paradise.
And the smallest pop in history. AV now looking like they want to pressure near the Baron buff. They can't do it with no Echo, however. And Rhymaster, kind of just a sign of what's to come for the Zed. And one of the main reasons why we won't see too much Zed in general, not usually because of the 7-1 Echo, more so because Echo's pretty tanky and you can't split push too effectively anymore.
Chum the Waters missing from Squiggle there. Tried to catch Triple out of position. Not going to happen. Another hook by Rogue, but it is onto the worst target of them all, the Braum.
And once again, Raps has to be everything for this team.
Yeah.
Rhymaster's going to pester them inside lanes, and that's fair. It'll definitely still be valid. If he does join a team fight, he can assassinate perhaps the Lucian. Reasonably tanky build, but Zed does a lot of damage. We just need Raps to stay alive as a Sin fan. As for Avant, you're looking for them to finish this game. Just keep doing you.
The hook goes wide from Rogue as Avant once again grouping up for this 3-1-3, but they've chosen to send Chenny Boy to that top. Meanwhile, Paradise answering on the bottom side of the map. Shelby does get hooked. The spear connects.
Bit of damage.
Down to about half, so respectable damage coming out of Sin. Rogue going for another hook once again onto Jake.
He's good at it, isn't he?
Yeah, he's hitting them time and time again, whether it be a minion or a champion. They're definitely connecting.
They're not. I was going to say, they're going for Paradise. That would be silly. Kind of just walked through their jungle and then walked it out.
40 seconds on this Dragon. Remember, it will be the second Mountain Dragon, really opening up Baron as a possibility for them to take.
Yeah, definitely. I think Baron already a possibility. Look at the vision that AV have on the map.
Oh, there was a Ghost Blade from Rhymaster once again. Just really looking for plays here. Unfortunately, Triple a bit more clever than that. Not going to get caught out without a little bit of CC to come down. So the side of Sin, it's been a while since we've seen any action. They're just kind of stifling the wound here.
Which is all they want to do.
Yeah.
It's on AV to actually get things done. There is definitely an onus on Sin in regards to trying to win the game somehow, which means map play eventually. If their base stands and their base is not broken, then Sin haven't lost. Losing, but not lost.
That's entirely true. And we have seen Rhymeister, he's tried to make a few catches on this Zed when we see that Ghost Blade being popped. But that's a second Mountain Dragon going across to the likes of AV. So it's Infernal, 2 Mountains, and a Cloud Drake. They got a bit of a lucky dip here, Rusty.
Yeah, honestly, like, yeah. It's a lot of dragons. It's a lot of power that they definitely still have as well in their back pockets. That Baron will be easy work for them if they look towards it. We'll see what AV actually do, because they need to start pulling that trigger eventually. They are so far ahead. There we go.
I think that second Mountain Drake was definitely what they needed for the confidence to be able to take down this Baron. It's down to about 3,000 health. No one into position just yet. 2,000 spear comes through. Not going to get stolen away as Shelby secures that one. Now Rhymeister, he's on the run. Chaos Storm is chasing him down.
Wrong side of the map, mate.
He's going to get met by Shelby here. The culling goes through.
He's
still running though. You might want to go for this one, but there is Paradise to back him up. The death mark, it should be enough to pop him. There it is. The answer's 1 for 1. That's shut down gold, which is nice.
Yeah, Rhymeister actually misplaying, wants to use the W aggressively and hits it into the wall.
Ouch.
It's unfortunate, but they get the 1 for 1 at the very least. Chenny Boy able to take down. Oh, wow.
Gets hooked out of his very fancy recall here. Should be taken down, forces the ulti, but also the exhaust. Chum the Waters does go down. Another exhaust coming through onto Squiggle. Now Paradise in the thick of the fight. He's got his sights set onto Raps. The Lantern keeping him safe out of this one.
Yeah, so Raps gets out alive. Rhymeister's still the only casualty, and AV lose an extra member in Jakey. Flaunting their strength, I think, is one way to describe what AV are doing at the moment. They definitely know they're ahead. They're kind of toying with their food. But they're still making mistakes, and this is a positive sign for Sin, because maybe this game is out of contention for them in their own minds. And as far as I'm concerned, if I was Sin, I'd be saying, if we win this game, like, fantastic. That's unreal. Like, yeah, drinks on all of us, really. Yep. But the end result is like, just don't tilt. And what they're doing is giving Sin kills that are needless, saying that AV is showing they can make mistakes, aiding towards that one strategy being the don't tilt one.
Triple took that away with the Death Ray. Here comes Paradise teleporting in, looking for something to make happen here. Triple just backing him up.
Bit deep there, Squigs. But Squiggle gets out.
Rogue's got his back, it's no trouble.
Yeah, Rogue having a fantastic game, all things considered. He is hitting all of his hooks. He's got the lanterns in the right place. His positioning is still impeccable. Rogue definitely no slouch when it comes to playing League of Legends at a high level. With that inexperience perhaps actually shining through.
7,000 gold behind our Sin right now as they're mounting a defense. Mid lane inhibitor turret is the next focal point for Avant.
Paradise no teleport, actually the big deal. So Chenny, from the looks of it, is going to be the one to attend bottom lane, which means that Sin have once again an opportunity to look for a fight. If Rogue hits another hook, they can always try and make things happen. Rhymeister does a lot of damage now that he's just ticked 16 as well, conveniently enough. They still are struggling, Sin, but there are always options being presented to them if they can utilize it.
We'll see Chenny Boy has gone for that very armor shred oriented build. Paradise does get hit, but that's not the target that you want to be bringing in. Forces the ult. He's still got the Guardian Angel available here. Now Avant, they've gone and they started attacking this tower. It is going to go down. Squiggle in the thick of the fight. He's going to get taken down here. That is done by Paradise as they start on the inhibitor. Rogue's in a lot of trouble. He just gets taken down by Triple.
Okay, inhibitor gone. Low health bars on a couple of the members of Avant. I don't think they will look to end the game just yet, but that's the base broken. We said it before, as long as the base stands from Sin, they had an opportunity. Well, starting to feel like those opportunities are lessening. And winning this game is becoming a pipe dream for this Sin roster with their new jungler in the mix.
Yeah, unfortunately that early mishap in the top lane has just completely spiraled further and further out of control. Paradise currently sitting on 20 stacks of his Soul Stealer, feeling really good about that one.
Yeah, I just don't think he's killable either. No. He's so tanky, he does so much damage. Echo, the kind of champion that we've seen bans from in a lot of competitive regions, including the OPL. This time he doesn't get banned. He gets a level 2 kill onto Squiggle. Now he's suddenly a 9-1 Echo that is winning the entire game basically by himself.
Really just putting the team on his back at this stage. 10,000 gold in the lead are Avant. Sin, they got their first tower of the game. It was all thanks to Rhymeister and his split pushing, but it's not going to matter too much as Avant 4 dragons and 7 towers to their name, and Rogue's inspired minion not enough to keep his team safe.
And another mountain available.
Oh, wow.
In 40 seconds. And that's potentially the last dragon of the game if they're able to lock that one down. Zed's split pushing as well. He needs to leave that top lane now because he doesn't have TP. He needs to join the team. One last ditch effort. One last hurrah.
There's the culling onto Dan, takes him down to about 30% health. Paradise is in the fight. Rogue is going to be his target. He falls down without a second guess. There is the Chaos Storm doing so much damage. A double kill for Triple, looking to make it a triple. There it is. In the backline, Raps doing what he can, but it's not going to matter as Paradise takes him out now on the back of that one team fight. Avant looking to take this game 1 away.
Yeah, this is absolutely going to be game 1 to Avant. And a very impressive performance from Paradise in particular.
Oh, wow, yes.
Shelby did his part, the rest of the team also doing theirs, but at the end of the day, this was a one-sided affair from one member of AV, and he put on a clinic.
Despite doing that well, I'm sure player of the game will still go to Bastion somehow, Rusty.
Yes.
No, he really did live true to how well he was doing. It was a paradise in that top lane for him.
Yeah, now we're just going puns everywhere.
Now we're just
absolutely
off the rails.
Look, it was a one-man performance. I will say very impressive from the top laner. The Echo Bandit, get rid of it. Squiggle struggled.
Yep. Alrighty, we're going to send it back to that to the analyst desk so they can tell us just how well Paradise really did do.
He played well, Rogie. You played well. Thank you so much for that. So I guess we do get to answer the age-old question, guys, of what happens when Echo double kills 2 lanes before 5 minutes into the game. Turns out he buys a Magi's, boots of Swiftness, and just runs over the rest of the map.
What a wash.
Yeah, what a wash top lane was. No, you're absolutely right. And the important thing, and Rusty commented on the cast, is itemizing into Swifties early, which allowed him to pick up those kills in the mid lane. But it wasn't just, again, the dominance of top lane by the level 2 blunder that happened for Fizz, but then immediately translating that pressure into the mid lane.
I have to pull you up there. I wish it was at level 2 for Oscar. He actually died at level 1, I believe, there, and he was the one running Ignite. But I do want to touch on this a little bit because the mentality of Paradise to then be able to run away with the rest of the game. I mean, he didn't just rest on his lower rules of I'm going to stick top. He does rotate into the mid lane, picks up a very selfish item build, but uses it to great effect. That's pretty gutsy out of a rookie top laner up there for Avant-Garde.
Maybe the rookie part of it was what made him have the guts. Just go, I don't care, I'm here to show that I'm the best. And he goes all in with it. Gets a Dark Seal off that first kill, upgrades it to a Magi's after Boots of Swiftness as his first item so he can start roaming and get that double kill mid and just go all in with it. I wasn't a fan of the Magi's, I'll be honest. As far as I'm concerned, that gold could have been spent in an item that doesn't fall off if you die.
Yeah.
And when he got the Magi's, he did die. He loses 10 stacks straight away and it looks really, really awkward. But he made it work. He went huge with it. And once he got the GA, there's no way they can shut him down. They didn't build a comp to shut that sort of thing down.
And that's the one thing that I want to hit on is why that was so punishing at Sim's composition. It was because their comp was set up for a 1-3-1. So you have a Fizz, you have a Zed. You know at some point you're going to be running either of those two in the side lanes, and you're just going to sit safely in the middle with Nidalee and crew and just kind of farm and buy time for Rye and Fizz to do their thing. Unfortunately, because Fizz fell so far behind, there was 0 kill pressure. Like, Echo matches up with Zed. He's already really good against Assassins just because of how his ult's going to work, and then he had a very early GA. But because Lucian could match up with Fizz freely, there was never going to be a window of opportunity for Sin's composition to get back into that game. And as soon as we saw that kind of skirmish in the top lane, and I saw Fizz dive down onto Cheney Boy, and Cheney Boy just 1v1 him, I'm like, this is done. Sin have nothing left.
Yeah, it certainly looked to be the case. I want to touch on something that we spoke about week number 1. You know, with Destiny moving away from Avant, we questioned whether they were going to have the shot calling necessary. Even though they were very far ahead, they played a pretty slow, methodical game. They picked up Dragons, they picked up Baron, they jockeyed for position well around the map. That's pretty impressive for a team that's lost their primary shot caller and building a new roster.
Yeah, at times it seemed a little slow. Like, it sort of seemed like they were letting the game stall out a bit. But you're right, they were on top of Dragons. They had the ability to get 5 before the Elder Dragon spawns, which is always a really great thing when you're ahead. And they never felt like there was ever any doubt they were going to lose that game. And when you go from one shot caller to another, usually you have some things like that where maybe they make a mistake, maybe they call the wrong thing, and you end up losing. And didn't seem to happen.
But again, it works so well for them because they had the superior lane assignments. Like that composition, neither of them really had any hard engage. So you have a 5v5 comp that comes out of AV, but there's no way, like there's no Maokai there. There's no way to force them into the 5v5. They just need to make sure that Sin fell behind in the early game or didn't neutralize it so they could play the split push pressure, which meant that Sin had to respond to them. So it allowed them to actually look into Siege and look into team fighting. Otherwise, Sin would have just avoided them on the map.
And in the end, it wasn't enough to win the game. So Avant through their top lane of Paradise absolutely crushed Sin in game 1, but we still have a couple of games left if Sin have their way. Don't go anywhere, guys. 3.5, and we'll be back for the next game.